Were these two boys killed by a train, or was it something much, much darker?
16-year-old Don Henry and 17-year-old Kevin Ives were popular boys at school. They were seen as outgoing and funny and were about to start their senior year of high school. They enjoyed going out with friends, their girlfriends, and especially enjoyed going out to hunt. On August 22nd, 1987, Don and Kevin had just met some friends at Little Rock in Arkansas and had decided to go back home at around midnight to meet their curfew. Don had asked his father whether they were allowed to go hunting in the woods near to the house. Don's dad agreed but warned them to be careful and wary. Both boys had left with a rifle and a spotlight, as they were going to go spotlighting, which is a hunting technique where you flash your torch to find the reflection of the animal's eyes. In Arkansas, this is an illegal form of hunting. The boys usually hunted by railroad tracks and had finally reached their hunting spot at around 1 AM. On August the 23rd at 4 AM, a train was traveling to Little Rock at around 50 miles per hour. This train was composed of 75 cars and was a mile long. The driver had spotted two boys lying on the track, about 300 feet away from the train. In desperation, he tried to stop and blow the horn, and nearly succeeded in avoiding the bodies, but unfortunately, with the train going so fast, the bodies rolled over. It took the train another 1,000 feet to decelerate and finally stop. The men on the train also were hunters themselves, and when they came out to see the bodies, they saw dark purplish blood. They all knew that if they had just killed the boys, the blood should have been bright red. It appeared to indicate that the boys had been dead for some time prior to the train hitting them. The police were on scene by 4:40 AM and found a rifle and a flashlight by the bodies. They seemed to dismiss the hunters' suggestions and treated the scene like an accident. However, when the paramedics arrived at the crime scene, they believed the boys were killed prior to the train and put a note in the file. Don's dad heard via his neighbor that two bodies were killed and found, and instantly ran over to Kevin's house to see if the boys were there. After the initial investigation, the medical examiner had concluded that both boys had fallen asleep due to heavy marijuana use and thus were in such a deep sleep as the train approached. These findings did not sit right with their parents, and they demanded a second autopsy. The parents were home nearly all of the time, and at no point did both kids show that they were using marijuana. They swore they were unaware of their marijuana consumption, but strongly believed that this was not the case.
So, these two boys were actually found laying in identical positions on this train track.
Hella sus.
Now, if you just get hit with a little overdose or, something like that, and you just get slumped, then you're not in an identical position.
No.
And would you really, I don't know, to anyone that has smoked the devil's lettuce, it might be worth adding that you don't really just pass out.
Depends on the pack, bro.
Depends on the loud pack. You're right, but for the most part, I just don't think you would really follow, just pass out on train tracks.
No.
Okay, it's a little suspicious that they were in the identical positions.
Yeah, it's looking dodgy. And they said, the blood was purple,
Yes.
so it looked like
It'd been there for a minute.
for a while.
Yeah. So those are two things. And one thing I do want to add, by the way, is that this is almost a genius play. If this is a case of them being murdered, which it is looking like right now, to then do that, put them on train tracks, and make it seem like they died from a train track, that is a pretty good going, honestly.
It's smart.
It is. It is.
I will consider that.
Next time you
always got to be prepared.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
The Ives family hired a private investigator to help them gather more information and evidence. In February 1998, there was a press conference held by the parents to reopen the case, and the following day, it was reopened with a new prosecutor. After looking at the bodies again, a medical examiner found the boys had the equivalent of 1 or 2 joints, rather than 20. A pathologist had realized that there were marks on Don's shirt which seemed to be a stabbing injury, and that Kevin's skull had been crushed with a rifle, potentially the one he used to hunt. The ruling on the boys was changed from marijuana intoxication to definite homicide. Members of the train had told the police that they hadn't seen the bodies as they were covered in a green tarpaulin, But the police didn't believe these excuses as they hadn't found any hint or material of such when looking. As time went on, locals wanted to find out what had happened and wanted to solve the case themselves, and so many went to the crime scene to figure it out. At one point, a relative found a shoe with a foot still in it at the crime scene.
I mean, surely, right, the train horn, if these people were just knocked unconscious by smoking marijuana, then a train horn, the vibrate, I mean, bro, this train was a mile long. Yeah. Are you lot deeping how long a mile is?
You would hear it, man. You've been at a platform, you heard a train go past and go, woo! You would hear that.
Bro, you would hear it coming a mile off, even if you were knocked out. This is a massive train. The vibrations, everything, you would feel it on the tracks. Yeah. I don't buy that for a second. Also, I want to talk about the dodgiest bloke of all time, Dr. Malik, right? Chip, I'm telling you, this guy is so suspicious. In fact, right, at one point, he actually ruled from an autopsy that someone had died from a suicide after being shot in the chest 5 times. I'm sorry, at this point, you need to remove the doctor from your name.
Well, it gets better because Bill Clinton requested that he get a raise, a 41.5% raise to be specific, because he said that he was overworked and underpaid, and that's why he kept making mistakes in his assessments.
I'm sorry, but in any other job, if you make those mistakes, you don't get a pay rise. No. You get either your paid doctor or you get fired. That's what Dr. Malik needed.
Still in a job, like it says, juries had overruled him many times, and many experts were questioning his conclusions. How was this guy still in a job? He apparently lied or got something wrong in over 20 cases.
Yeah. So or was this guy under Bill Clinton's thumb? By the sound of it, Bill Clinton was giving this guy a raise. Like, let's be honest, this would never happen in any other industry.
What could Bill Clinton have to do with his 2 boys?
There's definitely something suspect going on here. But now, let's talk about a few of the theories that we can run through with you guys.
Some witnesses claimed they had seen a man dressed in military fatigue outfit walking around the train tracks about a week before the train accident, but then saw him again the day the train had hit the 2 boys. A patrol officer had stopped him and questioned him, and immediately the man pulled out a gun and started shooting at the patrol officer, and then he fled.
I'm sorry, but they're making this place sound like the Wild West, right? They're just talking about a guy in military just pinging shots off at police officers. I've got some Rambo shit in my head. Seriously, what is going on?
I don't get it. Something must be going on in this specific area where the boys were. Like a guy in a military outfit, 2 boys on a train track, dodgy stuff's going down.
Yeah, but it's not like, oh, there was just this dodgy guy moving weird. Like, he was firing shots off. He was shooting people. Yeah. Like, in my head, I've got Red Dead Redemption in my mind. Yeah? And just a rogue guy just running around shooting people. Like, what? So, first of all, I just don't think there's enough here to really link it with the boys. Because the only thing really that we have here is that we just saw a lunatic cutting around the place.
I want to know how that went. So the officer started questioning him, like, yo, what's up, boss?
I seen you walking around here.
I see you walking around. And it says he pulls a gun out. What? He just goes, is that it?
There has to be more to that. Yeah. He has to have offended this man somehow.
I just don't get it.
Anyways, look, that theory, we've got better ones, all right? So I'm not buying Mr. Military. No.
This theory goes that Bill Clinton had put out a hit on numerous people who could implicate him in different crimes. All the deaths which are linked to this theory have had people who have died in weird ways and can be somehow linked back to Clinton. This list was compiled in 1993 by Linda Thompson, a lawyer. She quit her job in order to investigate this theory full time. With the link between Bill Clinton and the medical examiner Dr. Malik, there could be some link with this theory, although there is no evidence yet to corroborate it. Clinton argued that Dr. Malik had made all these mistakes in his autopsies due to overworking and bad pay.
So it's time to talk about Mr. Bill, Mr. Clinton again. And there's this really interesting theory that actually came about. And it all came from Linda Thompson, a lawyer. And she said, right, she had this list that was compiled in 1993. And it was all these people that were somehow linked to Clinton that had died in like mysterious or weird ways.
Yeah, so maybe, I just don't get it though, like 2 kids, you think Bill Clinton, he was a dodgy bloke, dodgy geezer, we know that, and then you think 2 kids, why would Bill Clinton want 2 kids dead?
Yeah.
And
Had they seen something?
It's like they're in a rogue place, but maybe there was something in this rogue place connected to Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Or yeah, exactly. Or yeah, Bill Clinton had an interest in this place, and he needed the kids have clearly seen something going on in this area, and he's got rid of them.
And then he's paid off the examiner by giving him the raise.
Yeah.
And obviously the excuse is, oh, you're overworked, you're underpaid, you need this raise.
Here's a 50% raise.
Look at me, I'm a good guy. And then boom. Oh, the examiner says it was just, natural, whatever, marijuana, their fault, the kid's fault.
Yeah. It really, this stinks.
It stinks.
This
And
stinks.
I think it's connected to the next theory.
Really? All right, let's move on to the next one then.
This theory suggests that the boys were involved in a drug deal or they witnessed a drug deal by the railway. There was a drug drop site near the train tracks where the boys were. A confidential informant confirmed this site to be true. This drop field would include dropping drugs into designated areas for drug dealers such as the Colombian cartel. There was a pilot who worked for the DEA who spied on Colombian cartels by flying a low plane around such areas. He became a double agent for the Colombian cartel, and in the end, he was assassinated by the cartel. Around the same time, Don and Kevin were killed. 6 years after the murders, a boy came forward and said that he had witnessed the murders when he was 12 years old. He said he was with a group of friends and saw another group of men on the tracks who called over the boys. When they hesitated, they were shot at and chased after by the group of men. This witness was subject to polygraph tests and was found to be a credible witness and put him into witness protection. He said he also knew one of the men, a man that goes by the name of Dan Harmon. He was the man who led the grand jury for this particular case and was appointed special prosecutor. According to encyclopedia.com, a special prosecutor, also known as an independent counsel, are private attorneys appointed to investigate and, if need be, to prosecute government officials accused of criminal wrongdoing. Another witness came forward and said he saw Don and Kevin being harassed by two police officers. One of the police officers hit one of the boys in the head with a rifle. Two more witnesses confirmed this story, and when they were called to testify, they were both killed. Another witness came forward in 1993, and she gave a video testimony. In 1978, she was dating the man who led the grand jury, Dan Harmon. She said she was with them the night that Don and Kevin were killed, and was supposed to have done the drug drop, but since she was high on other drugs, she couldn't. She said she was with Dan and some other police officers who had told her that a previous drug drop was interfered with by kids, and they wanted to make sure nothing got in the way this time round. She said she was in a car by herself, and when she got out, she saw one boy run away, and another two boys with a group of men. The boys were being handcuffed and beaten. They were placed on the ground. Then the men took some drugs from the boys, wrapped them in a green tarp, and left them a bit further along the railroads. Later on, when Dan found out his ex-girlfriend had secretly testified against him, he set her up on a drug charge and was a prosecutor on the case. He offered her a plea deal for 116 years, even though it was her first drug charge. Eventually, she denied the deal and was sentenced to 31 years in prison.
Wow, this theory is nuts, and I, for one, love it, right? And I think we can tie this into the Bill Clinton theory.
Yep.
Let's talk about, first of all, first thing that we spoke about was the cartels, the Colombian cartels. Now, this is prime Colombian cartel time. This place seemed to be an absolute drug hotspot. And to anybody that has ever watched any documentaries, any Netflix specials on Colombian cartels, they will kill you on the spot. No questions asked. If you've seen something you were not supposed to see, you're done.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
And they're also pretty, I don't want to say creative, but they were like, it wasn't like they would just shoot you and then leave you there and that be that. Like, they would go the extra mile to put you on train tracks to make it seem like that. Exactly. It is. And does this tie into something bigger? Because after that, we then have a very interesting fella named Dan Harmon, right?
He was the dodgiest bloke, man. This guy
was mixed up. The special prosecutor.
Head of the jury on the case, but he was there the night that the boys were killed.
Mate, and the witnesses saying that this guy was actually involved in it. Like, so you're telling me that Dan Harmon is almost on both sides?
Yeah, he was there. He was there for the whole thing. He was in the court.
He
was there.
He was at the shooting.
He was at the shooting.
Or whatever. Sorry, maybe not the shooting, but the cause of death.
Yeah, and potentially connected to Bill Clinton. And I'm also thinking that maybe Bill Clinton was connected to the Colombian cartel. Maybe he was funding certain things.
Yes.
You know, you hear them stories, but maybe there was some connect.
So what I think, this is actually what my final theory comes down to, right?
Yeah.
So Bill Clinton is obviously at the top of this tree.
Yeah.
And he has maybe some sort of deal, maybe he's involved in this Colombian cartel in some way.
Yeah.
Right? Or he's got a deal, something is going on with that, right? 2 boys have been killed in maybe like a messed up drug stop, whatever it might be. And this is obviously a massive problem if it comes out that the cartel have killed 2 young American kids,
Yeah.
right? So what's happened is he's managed to get Dan Harmon on his side, and then most importantly, the doctor. And that's where the pay rise came in. And so we're having like all of this just come into one theory. And I think that is honestly, that's my theory anyways. I'm taking 2. And it might be an absolute reach, right? But the fact that there's witnesses, someone, again, went into a lie detector test. Not that that's the best way to go through it, but it was a credible witness. This guy from that didn't seem to be telling many lies in the polygraph tests. So he was put into witness protection. Look, these cartels are no joke. And it's not like, these cartels were always linked with high up politicians, with people in power. Like, this shouldn't be like, oh my God, this is some really, intense theory. Like, no, this sort of stuff happened all the time. And
they were just trying to bury it.
Yeah, they were just trying to get it gone by saying 2 kids smoked marijuana. Look, the parents even said themselves, there was not even a small feeling that these kids were smoking. And I know as a parent, you tend to overlook this stuff anyways a lot of the time because you don't want your kid to come across as like they were smoking marijuana at whatever age, So I get that from people might be thinking, yeah, well, of course the parents are going to say that. But seriously, if they were given no real vibes that they were smoking and then all of a sudden just to blame it on marijuana, and not only that, but to actually get the doses completely wrong from the doctor, something has happened here. And there was a cover-up attempted.
I'm telling you, man, Bill Clinton, he's got to go down for this.
All right, here on the Fellas channel, we've exposed him. He's done.
Yeah.
He's done. Nice one, Chip. Great work today,
I'll be putting him in strange ways.
In Manchester. Yeah, get him extradited to Strange Ways.
He's still alive, isn't he?
Bill Clinton, he's knocking around. Your time has come, Bill Clinton. We've got you.
You're up.
We've got you. Anyways, guys, seriously, let us know what you think about this. Look, I actually really like this case, and that last theory is an absolute mind bender.
You know what? I want to take it back because I don't want to be killed off. Yeah, it definitely was not Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, we know you didn't do this.
Yeah, you're safe.
We're a massive fan of you. We're a massive fan of the cartel.
Right.
Okay. Anyways, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching. Chip, tell them what they need to do.
Guys, make sure you follow the show on Spotify. We'll be back next Monday, 6 p.m. Make sure you also subscribe and turn on notifications on YouTube. Leave a like and a comment. Let us know what you thought about the case, and we'll see you next Monday.
Laters.